Try again. Just cut it off. So here we are at the Daphne tank. This is my new tank. I picked this up for £40 plus £10 for the filter. Sorry, £10 for the heater, not for the filter. Pardon me. It's pretty good. It's got a reasonable filter space at the back. Taken out a load of filter medium. Basically halved both the carbon and the sort of ceramic tubes. Let's take that off for the minute. Because there's no fish in there at the moment. What I'm doing, as I was saying, is I'm growing these little fellas, Daphnia. These ones have been in here probably for a couple of days now. There've been top-ups along the way, so I can't really say, but I didn't put too many in there yesterday. So I'm reckoning these are survivors, and they're doing quite well in there. I also have three or four different types of snails. One of them, it looks the same, but it's got a different colour foot and a different colour shell. But we think they're mixing. We also have this type over here, which you can buy on eBay and from other vendors, probably Amazon also. And then there is also the Malaysian sort of spiral snail, which is, I'm told, is not the assassin one. I haven't seen it eating anything yet. So yeah, lots of stuff about breeding Daphnia. What can I say? Green water and sunlight. That's basically what you need. Also heavily suggest something that's not a that is a round container. This isn't round, but it is planted up enough that the corners haven't become a problem. I had some in, I will show you the other container. Here is my fish, which you may not have seen, and my Linea stagnalis. Where is he? There he is in the back. Zebradanio. She will be going into the tank at some point soon. So where's the one I had them in? I think it was that one. And they were just collecting in the corners and going mad. And they weren't looking proper, sort of peaceful. So I then moved them into these. These are ideal. I got these from, it was a pound store in Reading. And I can't see them at the moment. There is actually a big cloud of them in there somewhere. See where they are. I think they're around the side. Yeah, so you can sort of just see them by the label there. Yeah, there they are. So this I top up with green water that I grow out the back, which has been fertilized a little bit with goose poo, green goose poo. Shouldn't keep the room spray anywhere near the containers. So yes, those ones do there. These ones though, these ones are by the window. These are in still sort of a, but you can see the difference. Like this one is thronging absolutely, just amazingly well. The natural daylight is the way. There's also this one here, but these ones seem to have run away and gone scared somewhere. They're all very, very low down in the tank. In the bowl. They're all actually over here, I think. Somewhere. Yeah, there's one. So we're not sure about that one. That one was thriving, and now it's not so. So you had various containers for different things. That was it really. To just show you my giggles at the state of his room. To show you this. Essentially, it is for copepods. If we look over the back, you'll probably see there's lots of cyclops as well. In fact, it's quite covered at the moment for their benefit. So that's annoying, isn't it? I have to advise, like, you'll see those there, they're white. That's because the light, too hot, too warm. I had it on warm the other day. Ah, that's frustrating. There's another here. Any more? You can't really see. I did. So one more thing. We're sort of discussing the filter media, the order in which we put it in. Like usually I put this last, and I was looking at this time going, I don't know why, because that's to catch the biggest bits, and then there's the sponge beneath it for 2 layers. So the sponge starts about there, one, two. Then there's another sponge one at the bottom of this tower. Then you got the ceramic and the charcoal, and then you got the white floss off the top to just get the last bits. I think I'd been running it in reverse in the past. I'm trying to think about how I was doing it. Maybe not. No, I had an Eheim one. No, it was set up properly. So there you go. It doesn't take much. I use pond water to start it. I've used normal compost with budgie sand and bird grit, which you can also buy pound a bag for the budgie sand and the bird grit. Compost, just use something quite fibrous. If you can find a quite fibrousy compost, or use aqua compost. If you're in no rush, I think it's phosphates they say in normal compost. If you're in no rush to get your fish in your tank, the phosphates are no problem, and it all gets used up eventually, especially if you're putting in lots of algae water to keep your copepods alive. My algae water did have some spirulina powder mixed in with it, and it also had just a little sprinkle of yeast. I do about a pint. Once we got it to this standard, I would do it about a pint a day, probably, up until you feel that it's growing well enough. Because I'm not adding nitrates directly to this, the only way I'm adding nitrates is in with the pint of algae. So that way I'm not gonna over pollute this tank, because you've got enough nutrients in the pint of algae water to support that pint. Then there's the decay, which creates more nitrate, and then I put in the next pint. So you're sort of picking up each time there's a little decay, the decay becomes nitrate for the next generation of algae that I'm putting in. Plus there'll be bits and pieces in the water anyway that the algae haven't used yet. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed that. I may bring you some more news when I do. I think the next thing will probably be moving some fish over to this tank. A small bit of me only wants to keep Ottocinclus in there and maybe drop the pH a bit and grow Ottocinclus. That's not going to be so good for the copepods. They may even the pH is about 7.3. It's about 800 ppm TDS, which is kind of quite a lot parts per million, to be honest. I'm suggesting some of that is actually off the carbon, from the carbon filtration media that I didn't rinse, because all that carbon is quite good for the plants once it's all become a bit more settled. I've got 3 pieces of filter floss now that are embedded with carbon that I can use at a later date, which is quite useful for perhaps another thing. And that's it. Have a great afternoon, everybody. I'm going to sit here and enjoy watching my small cloud of Daphnia swimming about. I'm guessing the other is all up underneath the duckweed somewhere. I hope so. Ciao for now.